Hi, this is Gina Bagby with Purina Animal Nutrition, and we want to thank you for joining us on Facebook today for our equine education event. I wanted to thank, first, we have some national sponsors with this event, Farnham, Central Life Sciences, who makes the Clarifly product, and Ritchie Waters. You can see on this poster behind me that this event is brought to you by some of our best North Texas Purina dealers. We have D&L Farm and Home in North Texas. They have 5 locations north of the Metroplex. We have Cooper's Country Store in Stephenville, Texas. We have Russell Feed and Supply. They have 8 locations around Fort Worth. We have Clifton Feed Center. They are in Clifton, Texas. We have Arrow Feed and Ranch in Granbury. And we have Walden Farm and Ranch. They have 4 locations near Weatherford, Texas. So we appreciate those dealers a lot for helping put on this event. We want to make sure too that if you would comment on their pages, they will be getting a coupon to you. So while this event is live, be sure to comment either like the number of horses you have, be sure to put your name and maybe where you're located. Also, if you put questions into the comment section, we may not be able to answer them live today. But we for sure will get those answered as soon as we can. So we are here at Hailey Kinsel's barn today, right here in Stephenville, and we're excited to have these ambassadors with us. I don't know that you guys need an introduction, but the first one that we have is Coleman Proctor. He is a 5-time NFR qualifier, and it kind of makes me nervous having Coleman here because he's normally on this side. And so he's pretty good at this, so we'll see how this goes. We also have Hailey Kinsel. She's a 3-time world champion. Oh, and I should have mentioned, because of the time, that Coleman is a past American winner, so very cool.
That's what happens when you do stuff in the past. People forget. This year I'll be watching it from the comfort of my home.
Thank you for pointing that out. So we have Hailey Kinsel, who we really appreciate you letting us crash at your place today. I know it's been a little busy. And we have Emily Beisel, who's a 2-time NFR qualifier and had some success last year by winning a couple rounds. So what we want to do today is we want to introduce you to some of our newer products, and we want to get some feedback from these folks who have used most of them, maybe haven't used a couple. But the first product that we want to introduce to you is the Purina EquiTub. It was introduced late last year, so it's still a very new product for Purina. It's this tub that's laying on the table here behind us. It's a molasses-based tub. It comes in a 55-pound size or 125-pound size. It contains a lot of nutrition. We're pretty excited about it because the amount of nutrition in it, I think, is pretty unique versus a lot of the other molasses tubs out there. Purina, I feel like we're sometimes one of the first to come out with some products. We may have been a little later on this one, but it was because producing it in an ionophore-free facility was really important to us. And so ionophores are like rumensin and Bobatec, and can be pretty fatal to horses. So you can see why that was important to us. It also contains a pretty complete vitamin and mineral package when fed at the correct levels. It contains Amplify, so there is a good bit of calories in it. We also have Clarifly in it, so very good way to help control stable flies, especially in confinement. If you're not familiar with that product, it feeds through the horse, it ends up in the manure, and it helps keep flies from developing. Actually, now is a very good time to get started on a product like that because it's good to get ahead of the fly break. So the nice thing coming off that winter weather we just had, we hopefully don't have flies right now, but they're probably right around the corner. It's also a great source of Outlast. So we've put Outlast in this product. It's a very convenient way to get Outlast to your horses. So you can see that it's packed pretty full of nutrition. We've talked to these folks, and because it is so new, this is actually one product that they have not had a chance to try. So do you guys have any questions about that product for us?
So when we talk about mineral, like as a cattle rancher, mineral is so important, like on cows. come, green grass coming on, we need high magnesium. We need, when they're birthing, they say it gives for a good birth, this and that. So how much mineral needs does a horse have? I mean, obviously with Amplify, if I could just sugarcoat and get some Amplify and Outlast and a few of those, it's obviously going to help. I mean, if you're going to put a product out there that a team roper can throw to his horse and not see him for the next week until they go to the next jackpot, that's going to sell big. But let's talk about the mineral needs of horses. Like, what do I need to be mineral in my horse? Like, what?
I'm going to let you address that one.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm Dr. Karen Davison.
Karen.
I'm Director of Equine Technical Solutions with Purina, and I will say one thing about the tubs, because I have been with Purina forever. I do remember that we had tubs over 20 years ago, Gina, but we stopped making them because we didn't have an ionophore free facility. When they started putting ionophores in cattle tubs, we quit making horse tubs in those plants just for the extra safety for horses. So
Absolutely.
But to answer your question on the mineral, if a horse eats 2 pounds of this tub a day, which is about on average what we've been able to see happen in our research, they'll get their mineral needs met for the day. So if it's really a great tool for what we call marginally managed horses, which may fit some of your team roping buddies, I don't know. But if a horse is out on pasture, they're getting a lot of calories sometimes from the hay or pasture, or horses out on a round bale for the winter. But they can eat enough forage to stay fat enough, but they don't look great. Their hooves don't grow great, all those things, and your minerals part of that, protein's part of that. So this is excellent quality nutrition in a horse tub, and it's self-fed technology. And for horses, the hard thing with that sometimes is, and you guys probably know this as well as anybody, if a horse likes something enough to eat any of it, they won't quit eating it most of the time. So it took some time in the technology of how we make those tubs to try to make it where they'll start eating it right away, but they kind of graze on it all day. They'll eat it a little bit and they'll walk away and go eat on their hay or eat on the pasture and that kind of thing. So, and it's great because they kind of meter out that Outlast gastric support. So they lick on it, they get a little gastric support, go off, do whatever they're doing, and then they can come back and lick on it again later. And they get that metered out through the day, which you can't do on your own. So it's kind of a handy little tool.
So are you saying, does this have like maybe that AccuRation technology you see in some of the cattle tubs? Is that kind of the same type stuff?
Not exactly, because what limits a cow intake's not exactly the same with horse. It's actually more about how hard that tub is, that they get kind of tired of trying to lick on it, kind of thing. So some of the things that limit on cattle tubs, horses won't even touch.
So it's like the Tootsie Roll factor, like if it's a hard Tootsie Roll.
Yeah, there you go.
You understand. Yeah.
You don't have to say it like that, Hailey.
Are you saying most team ropers would understand that too? Is that what
No,
you're
but
getting
honestly,
at?
my wife is a barrel racer, and she was so excited about these tubs. Have you heard about these?
I have.
Because I hadn't. You must have released it to the barrel racers first, because my wife saw it and she's like, have to ask them about the tubs they have coming out.
Yeah.
So obviously you've heard about it.
I hadn't got to try it yet, but I was looking forward to asking you guys. So, like, for example, I have a couple pregnant brood mares about to come back from the breeding farm and go out on pasture here. So would that be a good option for them to kind of be able to start on? And as they're mostly on pasture, grass, hay, a little bit, and then I start feeding alfalfa and grain as the year goes on, as they start to develop that baby a little bit longer. So would this be a good option to go ahead and put in front of them as the spring starts to kind of keep flies off and whatnot?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and especially those mares in early pregnancy, if they're staying fat enough on hay or pasture alone, this will give the nutrition that helps that little early growing fetus in there get what it needs, but you don't necessarily have to go out and feed them every day. But then we also have people that leave them out in addition to what you feed.
Okay.
Just so while they're out, they've got a little bit extra to keep them occupied, keep them happy, and get a little extra calories and it's got Amplify, the high fat nugget that we make, and it'll put a little extra shine on those pasture horses.
So you said 2 pounds per head per day. So like in my program, I have like the barn horses, the ones we ride every day, pretty hard, and then I've got the semi-retirees that maybe they need just a little bit of help. If I got to run 2 or 3, that'd be great. But so that, then I've got those, and then I got the full-blown retirees, and I've got a few young colts, that are turned out, kind of getting developed right now. So, if I keep 8 horses in the barn, how many tubs am I putting out for them versus the semi-use or like the colts? Is this a great option, like you said, for the brood mares? Is this a great option for your colts that you're maybe not? I'm pouring some feed too, but they're not getting used a whole lot. So does it ever fluctuate with use, or?
Yeah, and they're kind of, there is a little variability. That 2 pounds is a good average, and we hit that pretty well if the conditions are right. But if it's like a horse in a stall with nothing else to do all day, they may eat more of it. So you got to kind of keep an eye on that. If they don't have anything else to eat, they may just get bored and go eat more. And it is kind of like, you probably have seen this with some cattle tubs. If you put them out in pasture, if you put them where the horses congregate and stand all the time, they may overeat just a little bit, but you can move them to the other end of the pasture where they have to actually decide to walk over there to get them.
Sure.
And so you can control intake a little bit like that if you see some variability. But we've had some people put them in stalls with horses, but again, kind of monitor that intake. If they're eating much over that 2 pounds a day, we want to do some things to kind of help manage that.
There's enough calories in it too that, I mean, that's one thing to watch. If you're feeding feed and you put one of those out, you may have to back off on the feed a little bit because there's more calories than there are in a lot of tubs.
So I'm hearing, if I'm hearing you right, for all my team roping buddies in Facebook land, this could be a way. Don't have to grain as much. Throw them out.
Well,
It's a great product. We're getting a lot of good feedback on it.
I've got a horse that's a little bit harder of a keeper, you know, and so is this something that would be beneficial to add to his feed program?
For sure. Yeah, you can add it on top of the feed you're already feeding. Gets a few more calories, and then you get the support of Outlast.
Okay.
And then for sure the Clarifly also.
Perfect.
Does water affect this much? Because I mean, it's just open top tub sitting out there.
It's not like waterproof, but water resistant. So for sure, like, you know, if you have rain, you're going to have to go dump the water that stands on the top off, and it may soften off that top just a little bit, but it's pretty water resistant, and it doesn't affect the nutrition.
So it's a lot like your wind and rain product
is,
in cows.
yeah,
That
just a little-
it doesn't change the
a
palatability
little different
much.
type, but similar concept.
Gotcha.
So we also wanted to visit a little bit about Outlast, because Outlast is an important part of it. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Karen. She's going to visit just a little bit about Outlast, and then we want to get some feedback from you guys.
Yeah, so I think most of y'all are familiar with Outlast, and Outlast is our gastric support supplement. It started out as a supplement in that bag there, and then because so many horses have trouble with gastric health issues, we actually have added Outlast to so many of our feeds to make it easier for every time they get a meal, the horse gets a little bit of Outlast. And then I think last year, came out with the Outlast treats, which are just kind of handy if you don't, like if you're at a competition, you can put those in your pocket and you can give them to them if it's been a while since you've gotten
You
some.
can't eat them. Not for you.
Well, no, I was just saying.
If
like,
you get nervous
It's not for you.
before you go compete, you could get you an Outlast treat.
You don't need an
kind
excuse to get
of like
nervous.
those Tums that taste like Skittles. I like it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious because you all have, all of y'all have fed Purina for a long time, and Outlast has been something that we've added in over the last 4 years, and have gradually added into more and more of our products. So you all depended on the good nutrition from the Purina products for all these years. For me as a nutritionist, the fun thing with Outlast has been like so much of what I do as a nutritionist, it takes a long time to see the value. You know, it takes a while for the muscles to develop more. It takes a long time sometimes for the hair coat to come in, all those things. But Outlast is one of those things that you can see really quickly if a horse gets more comfortable. I'd just be curious if you had maybe a specific horse that you noticed a big difference, or anything, how you feel about Outlast being in the products and available as a treat and a supplement.
Yeah, I noticed a huge difference with Chongo. I mean, he's naturally just a little bit more nervous type of horse. And so when I switched to the Ultium Gastric Care, yeah, that was a game changer for him. I mean, he's really, I always tried to keep him pretty close to home before, just because I couldn't keep him on the road that long, you know, without him just not maintaining that well. And so anyway, once I started using it with the feed that had the Outlast in it, and he's maintained great on the road. You know, I've been able to make the finals the last 2 years because of that. You know, we can stay out longer, and so I've seen a lot of benefit.
Good. That's good to hear.
I have all my horses on the Outlast supplement as well as the strategy with the Outlast, and I try not to overdo it, but I do know they love it. One thing that's helped me a lot, not just in your regular feedings, but when I'm getting ready to go somewhere, if I'm going to feed them a little bit beforehand, if I make sure to include Outlast in there, they're usually happier on the trailer, more likely to drink and eat out of their hay bag once we get there, or eat on their hay and alfalfa in the trailer on the way there. So I've just noticed a big difference in their countenance, and they handle the whole trip well. And I actually learned at one of the E3 meetings I believe it was last fall, it might have been a longer time ago than that, when you guys were first introducing Outlast, yeah, it had to be a while ago anyhow, that the horses at home actually can be just as nervous or stirred up when you leave with the other horses. And I've always focused on what the horses that go on the trailer need. But when you're changing something for the horses that, or you're leaving here and they're watching their buddies go and they're not going, they may need some help too. So just being able to include that Outlast in their diet as well right before I put those other horses on the trailer, so that everybody can just calm down a second, and that way if they do get nervous, if they do get any anxiety or anything, we don't have to worry about ulcers or stomach issues afterwards.
Well, I'm an original team member of, I think when I first came on, they were developing Outlast, and it was just coming out, because that was one of the first questions I asked to the doctor. Is it Dr. Scott who runs the horse deal? And anyways, I asked him. I said, "Are they really working on a gut supplement?" And he said, "Can't divulge all the details." But I mean, honestly, as a team roper, to have a feed that's actually helping promote that gut health that I'm throwing in every day, twice a day, and then these are the only cookies that I allow my wife to feed my horses. Because that's the most annoying thing, is right after you're trying to uncinch and he keeps reaching in there like, hey,
Where's your Tootsie Rolls?
He's like, look how far I'm bending my neck. Give me a cookie. My mom always gives me a cookie, right? And I was like, okay, fine, you can feed mine cookies, only after the Outlast cookies, because man, guttural health, that's one thing we've noticed on the road with all of ours. I've had a lot of high stress and head horses, and what we do to them, it's kind of too much, honestly. I mean, we travel a lot of miles, and they have to jump in these trailers, and we bang them around there, and we jump out, and we ask everything they've got, and to be able to back that up, and just an everyday support of all your feeds, it's been incredible.
And I think there's such a misconception for us being out on the road, and other people have asked, like, well, the feed is so hard on them, and then the exercise is so hard on them, the stress is so hard on them. And when you think about a feed itself being healthy, like you said, like this feed, what I'm putting in them, my go-to grain, my go-go juice is good for them. I think that's something that is needed in our industry, as well as just needed that people need to know about it, that it is okay to give your horse grain. They love it, and you can give them a grain that's going to be not just help them perform, but help them in their overall health as well.
That's so good to hear. It kind of makes all of us, we're so glad that we found something, again, through all the research that actually does do what we say it'll do, but it makes me think about all the years of all these horses that have been kind of suffering in silence, and the number of people that have told me, like, God, that horse just wouldn't score, and now he's like happy and more comfortable. So it just makes us feel better about what we do. What else we got?
So, real quick, on the tubs, like, how many do you put out per head of horses? Like, in a general sense, like this little tub here.
So if they were in a group, probably like 1 to 5, yeah, 1 to 5 horses per tub.
Per tub, okay.
Yep. And then the bigger tub, of course, will last.
Because remember
longer.
Now, let's be honest, you're not just talking to the barrel racer. Right? The team rover's like, hold on, they said something about a tub. I think you can put one out for about every 100 horses. Right. Now that's what I was curious, because it's hard to figure out. We put one bale of hay out for every 8 or so, 10 head. So.
And I think the cool thing, we came up with the smaller size, and so it's not a trial size, it's a convenient size, but it is a good way to try it. And then if you need more, the 125 pound is a really nice way to go. So gotcha. We were going to ask you guys also, what is your go-to Purina product? Like, you've kind of each mentioned it a little bit, but tell us a little bit about what your feed is.
Well, ladies first.
Okay.
So,
my whole barn is on the Ultium Gastric Care. I have had excellent luck with it. There's no reason to deter off the path. It's working for me. All of my horses, from a 4-year-old to my finished rodeo horses, really do well on it. They look great. They, it just keeps them really well balanced, and I have been more than pleased. It's an awesome product.
Mine is Purina Strategy, and my whole barn's on it. I love the fact that I can adjust the amounts as needed per horse, and I don't see a huge difference in their energy levels, even if I do need to increase them, because it's just not a super hot feed to where they're going to get too pumped up. But if I need to increase it a little bit, put a little more weight on them, I can do that. I also love that it's good for colts. It's good for young horses, older horses as well. If I need to transition to the Healthy Edge, I can easily transition between the Purina Strategy GX and the Healthy Edge, and so I've used both of those products, but that red bag is my favorite.
You got a pin because ours gets a little more complicated. Because we have a lot of, like I said, we have some retirees, and we were on senior, and I really like the senior active feed. I love what's in there, and I feel like I can feed it from the retirees all the way down to the not so retirees, like we're not taking them across the road yet, to the final retiree pasture. It's like your security blanket, or like that college credit card you got. Doesn't have a lot of limit to it, right? But we still hold on to it. You know what I mean?
Just in case.
But they've seemed to really do well on it, and like we said, it has the Outlast in it. And then I go Strategy Healthy Edge. That's through my barn, the whole thing. And then my wife's horse, because maybe he needed to pep it up a step, we went with the Racetrack. Which one?
Race ready?
So we went with that for a little while. So that got complicated. Because Sayer, my main man, Sayer, that helps me feed the house, was like, I said, no, we have to feed hers this bag. So, anyways, but mainly I stick to just senior active, the Strategy Healthy Edge, and then my colts are always on, and the mares that are starting to lactate and stuff, I go with the growth. Ultium growth, yes ma'am.
So I think what is kind of cool is you all are competing at the highest level, but you each have found kind of a product, like you all are doing something just a little bit different within our portfolio. And that kind of leads me, so this event is being brought to us by, 6 great dealers. And I think our dealers and our Purina salespeople are a good resource to help put programs together for everybody that helps fit. So how do our independent dealers help you, like either while you're on the road or while you're at home, maybe the relationship you have with your feed store?
Well, I think I can speak for most of us who travel. The number one thing that I love about it is everything changes when we're on the road. The water quality changes, and your forages always change. But that checkerboard never changes, and it is readily available everywhere that we go to. Every town you go to, you can find a Purina dealer, and you can find somebody to help you out. I know in my little town of Inola, Oklahoma is where I get my feed. Glenda, when I call her, she is on the spot. She can get it this week, and she can, she does a lot of suggestion for me whenever, because we got team rope and head horses. I'm trying to keep a little more low key, some heel horses that I only crack out every once in a while that we don't want to get too hyped up. And my wife's horses, she's like, we need to go in the next D. So, she's able to always communicate to me like, hey, try this. Hey, these guys down here at the racetrack, they've been doing this. And to have such informative dealers, you guys do a great job. Cooper's, when I'm in Stephenville, I always swing by there because they keep putting that hay in the top rack. I mean, if I ask them to put a ton of Strategy Healthy Edge, they'd put it right there in my hay pot right now. But all your dealers are always so great to work with. And like I said, mainly for me, it's the consistency and the fact that we can get it anywhere.
Yeah, the availability is huge, because there's times, we're gone 6-8 weeks, and it's borderline impossible to try to pack that much feed that you need, especially if you're hauling multiple horses. And so just having the access to it, no matter what part of the country you're in, is really instrumental for, people that rodeo.
Absolutely. The consistency for sure. The freshness, knowing that you're going to get a good bag of feed. You don't have to check it. You do because you're smart, but you don't even have to, because wherever you're at, you know that any bag with the Purina symbol on it is going to be a safe bag of feed, and my horse strafes that. And like you said, that everything changes, and I feel like sometimes we're the only things that don't, and they learn to rely on us, especially a barrel horse, a more nervous type of horse, a horse that wants to bond. They really rely on what we are for them. And I feel like if the one other thing I can keep the same is what they're about to eat, that's the best thing I can do for them. Overall health as well as just happiness. A happy horse is a healthy horse. So that's the biggest thing. Cooper's is my go-to. They take care of me all the time, and I love that all the time. I love that they always are stocked up and ready. I never have to worry about oh my gosh, I'm going to be put in a bind here because I can't get what I need. They are on the ball, and that's outstanding.
Your quality control is amazing to me. I came into the finals one year, and I said something about, I said, well, I've been feeding this bag of feed, and And Mark over there at the Purina bank, he said, well, give me your label. So I give it to him. And they had it programmed to who mixed what, at what farm, at what happened, where it came out of, what day it hit. That's amazing to me. My little girls, I can't get them to daycare a half mile down the road with everybody having their shoes on. Like, that blew me away, the way you guys have your quality control and how consistent it is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. So thanks for all your feedback. Really quick, we wanted to introduce, we have 2 new products coming in April. I don't know if you guys knew that. But Karen
Is one of them called tax season? Because that's the only thing I know.
hey, if you're in Texas, you get 2 more months. Did you know that? Because of the storms.
Mask it down in 2 more months.
Yeah.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
But we do have 2 new products coming. So Karen's just going to give us a quick highlight because they're coming in April. We don't have them yet, but she's going to introduce them.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a peek ahead of time of kind of look to see what's coming up. And a lot of horse owners and people know about omega fatty acids, and there's some information and some interest in particularly in omega-3 fatty acids, and there's some good information and some misinformation, as always with lots of things. But we spent some time, Coleman, you mentioned the research farm, and Dr. Robert Jacobs, who does the research there, and we've been doing some research here for a while now on a couple of new products that have omega-3 fatty acids, and they're very specific, and they have some really good research behind them. So one is a Mega Match Ration Balancer, which is a low volume feed that actually, the good thing with it, what we were trying to find out, a lot of people, we all know the idea of like green pasture is like ideal for a horse. If horses could have excellent quality green pasture all the time, that would be ideal. But how many of you, good gracious, you guys are on the road all the time, right? You can't take the pasture with you, even if you had it at home.
Right.
You can't take it with you. And we were able to match the omega-3 fatty acid content and look of, so horses that eat 2 pounds of this Omega Match Ration Balancer, they have similar omega-3 fatty acid profile as horses who are grazing pasture 4 hours a day, good quality green pasture. So it's a way to take that good quality of what you get out of what we all, some of us as horse owners call Dr. Green. Like, you just know that if they get out on good pasture, it's good for them, but we can't always do that. Mm-hmm. And then we have a really unique ahi flower oil that has omega-3 benefits very similar to fish oil, but horses love the taste. It's from a plant, it's not from fish. And so we have something that horses will love to eat that will have some of those potential health benefits of some of those really high value omega-3 fatty acids. So that's all we're going to say about that now. Your Purina dealers have been well trained, and they'll have all the information on it. And so we want everybody to kind of look forward to it, because again, you guys know this. You've been to the research farm. All 3 of you have been up there. We don't ever stop. That thing keeps operating, and we come out with the next best thing and the next big thing, and we're continually trying to find better ways to better take care of your horses.
Man, I'm excited about that, because I'm not going to lie, there have been those times it feels like you're coming out of winter and some of your horses, they're just kind of stumbling into, hey, green grass is coming. Yeah. Bam, they'll look better in 30 days. Like, whoo, we made it. Wow, so to have that in our trailer all the time.
Yeah. That'll be awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're always excited about the innovation that comes out. So those are 2 cool new products that are coming. So I think we're going to wrap this up. We really appreciate you, Hailey, letting us crash at your barn today. Thank you, all 3 of you, for being part of the panel. Thanks again to our dealers that helped host this. Like I said earlier, if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section, and we'll get them reviewed and we'll get answers back to you. If you're watching this when it is posted, be sure to comment, because the dealers will have a coupon for you. So thank you very much, and we appreciate you tuning in.
Was that good?